So Parker. I did that again. I've called you Parker before. Anyway, Carter.
And this one was in the middle of the show. Last time we just said, all right, let's just press the record button again and give it another try. But there's no
No, that's just an L on my part. Let's get into our Pac-12 Prime Picks here in week 4. And they got off to a tough start here in 2022 for me in their inaugural appearance, this being the first football season where I've been hosting the show. Went 0-3 in week 1, 5-1 the last couple of weeks. Did not listen to Vegas. They were trying to tell me to pick Washington. I instead rode with the Spartans, and they were coming down for a backdoor cover and ultimately did not get it done at the end. But we got Utah right last week. We got USC both winning big. I thought about putting Utah in there, but obviously I've got Oregon State in there at plus 6.5. It's down to 5.5 now. I would take either number because I'm going with the outright victory here. But you don't think Oregon State's going to win the game, but which side of this bet would you take?
I'm still leaning USC here. Potential for this game to get somewhat out of hand is still there. I think the Beavers are going to be competitive, but you look at that USC offense and you say, well, what if they put up 50 on Oregon State? Can Oregon State keep up and score 45 to cover this thing? I don't know. So I think that's still there. So I would lean USC. I just think that the number has gotten too low with all of the money that's gone on Oregon State's side in the last few days.
My second pick of the week is the Ducks. I'm taking a minus 6.5, which is a decent amount to give up on the road at Washington State. But I think Oregon wins that game probably by 10 to 13 points. And the reason I feel that way is the Ducks defense is coming off of a week in which they have to be supremely confident against BYU, and they looked like they're starting to have it click against a good BYU team, and they held a future NFL quarterback in Jaren Hall to 7 points in the first 3 quarters, and then allowed a couple of scores there when the game was out of hand and Oregon's reserves were in on offense and kind of turned the ball over there. Washington State deserves a lot of credit for going to Wisconsin and winning. But when you watch that game and look at the story of the game and the box score as well, Washington State got outplayed. Now, they made those impact plays on defense. They forced turnovers when they needed to, but they were outgained by 150 yards against Wisconsin. They ran for only 61. Cam Ward has not yet made the sort of leap to where I can say he looks comfortable and fluid. Maybe this is his breakout game, but so far, they struggled against Idaho. The offense only scored 17 points. That was enough to get the win against Wisconsin, but I like the Ducks offense more than the Badgers, and this is under a touchdown, so I'm taking the Ducks here minus 6.5.
I'm with you there, and I think the 6.5 number is key with this game because all Oregon has to do is win by a touchdown. I guess easier.
Don't botch the extra point.
Yeah, easier said than done there. I don't know who is it still Camden Lewis or who's the kicker?
Yep. Camden Lewis is still Oregon's kicker.
So his job is very important this week with that 6.5 number. But no, I think more often than not, I'm pretty confident with Oregon winning by a touchdown, at least in this matchup. Obviously, the Ducks just put up what? Well, I guess
41.
BYU
final
came
score
back and scored
41
some
to
points
20
late there, but I mean that had all the makings of a 5 touchdown kind of win over a top 12 team last week, and so I think Oregon has kind of expelled some of the demons of that Georgia loss with a couple of high scoring performances, and obviously you expect to take care of business against Eastern Washington, but a get right game there, and then I think they really picked things up last week, so I like Oregon by a touchdown here.
All right, last one, Pacific Northwest theme for me here on this week's edition of the Pac-12 Prime Picks, brought to you, of course, by Bet Online. Washington giving up less than 2 touchdowns at home to Stanford. I was going to stay away, but this line, when I was putting the show rundown together and looking at it, it was 13.5. Here's the reason I feel confident about Washington in this spot against the Cardinal. And coming into the year, Yeah, I thought Stanford would be a little better. I didn't think Washington would be at this level, but seeing what I have seen now, the Huskies are not just rolling, they're rolling at home. And so for them, this feels like a rinse and repeat. They come out against Kent State, interception on the first play, win comfortably, offense slinging it around the field. They come out the next week, FCS opponent in Portland State, you should thrash them. They did. You come out against Michigan State, again, same routine, same environment, same field, and you have all the same guys because there have not been any major injuries for the Huskies, which is notable when Michael Penix is your quarterback who has looked like the best version of himself in this his fifth year of college football. So this game again is at home, and I watched Stanford get torched by USC's passing defense. Even with Caillou Blue Kelly on the back end, that Cardinal defense is still not making the progression that we perhaps thought it might here in 2022. There's still a lot of season for them left to play. They had an oddly timed bye a week ago, but they're clearly vulnerable through the air. Penix and these Husky receivers have got great chemistry. They're rolling. They're at home again, and I think this is one where they could run away with it.
I like the pick. I just think that Stanford might be knocking at that back door a little bit late in the fourth quarter. We saw that against USC. Stanford stayed within 13 there. All they have to do is stay within 13 against Washington, and I think USC is the better team between those two. And I mean, obviously, it's comparing games like that is always apples and oranges, but I think the potential there is score late and get back within 2 touchdowns against a Washington team that, while it has obviously played very well through 3 games, I mean, Stanford's still its second best opponent so far. This is, I think, in some ways, like I've said with some of these other games, I think this is kind of one of those for Washington where, coming off of a big win, how do you do as far as avoiding a letdown goes? This is a conference game, and crazy things happen in the Pac-12. Crazy things happen in Seattle at 7:30 p.m. on a Saturday night. I think Stanford's a better team given them credit for. They're not great, but I think that they have enough pieces to be competitive in every game this year. And so I like Stanford to stay within 2 touchdowns here. But I do agree with you. Washington could run away with this, but I wouldn't pick it.
Well, we only see eye to eye on the Oregon-Washington State game. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. Another exciting weekend ahead. If you want to bet any of it, check out Bet Online for all your football betting needs. Carter Bahns, senior editor and writer at beaverblitz.com, talking about USC and Oregon State today and the Pac-12 Prime Picks. Carter, great to talk to you as always.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Appreciate everyone listening. See you next time. Enjoy the football this weekend and have a wonderful rest of your day.